This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Las Vegas Paiute Tribal Smoke and Cigar Shop.
Good morning, I'm Renee Summerhour with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. We are waiting to take you to a press conference at Las Vegas City Hall where community groups and leaders, including Mayor CAROLYN GOODMAN, are set to unveil an effort to address the black home ownership gap in Southern Nevada. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Chamber of Commerce, the City of Las Vegas, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, NID Housing Counseling Agency, the Neighborhood Housing Services of Southern Nevada, Nevada Partners, AmeriFirst Financial, and of course, HOME. HOME is a tech-based real estate company that just launched in Las Vegas a year ago, and our mission is making homeownership easy, affordable, and accessible for all. Our philanthropic arm, HOME Helps, is backing this coalition with the resources it's going to take to reach 25,000 black families here in Las Vegas. So whether you're only a month away or you're 2 years away from buying your own home, we're here to help you get the resources. Just go to makehomespossible.org to get started. Now, I am so thrilled and honored to introduce the Mayor CAROLYN GOODMAN, who is proudly backing this effort for closing the black homeownership gap in Las Vegas.
This is indeed a very exciting day for us because the issue of having your own home is one of the biggest personal gains an individual can have, especially as we try to be a community where we are having equity for all in every aspect of life here, whether it's in education, whether it's in family raising, job opportunity, training, and everything that we're doing. And so I'm delighted to be here this morning to applaud the efforts and call attention to the good work of the coalition to make homes possible. The home ownership gap, as you have just heard and we have realized for years, is real, particularly for individuals and families of color, and especially among our black families. And nowhere is this more evident than in the city's own historic West Side, an area where we are investing millions in redevelopment programs and initiatives to improve the area and enhance infrastructure in an effort to attract investment, but give back dignity to all we call part of our Las Vegas family. I see faces today, of course, that are familiar, and certainly one of my sons, Cedric Greer, here. And he always has to take that from me. I've known him since he was probably 5 years of age. And Kathy Thomas, who I didn't see be able to be with us. She's in meeting briefings, of course, who's been so instrumental in leadership in our community and neighborhood services. And Ken Evans, good friend of ours, and certainly with the Urban Chamber, done so much for our community here and so much more to do. I applaud the vision and innovation of the coalition's leader, HOME, at 21st, as you heard, a 21st century tech-based residential real estate brokerage firm for bringing this amazing group together. We've coalesced so many resources to make this possible. Multiple agencies, community-based organizations, nonprofits, and local businesses make it accessible for families to get educated on home buying processes, accessing mortgage funding, and acquiring the budgeting skills necessary to gain and maintain homesmanship. As many of you know, the City of Las Vegas has long been active in working to solve our valley's issues of homelessness. We established the Courtyard Homeless Resource Center and Recuperative Care Center just a few months ago, both of which are doing much to help our homeless population access shelter and services with a goal of working to get off the streets, be self-sufficient, and have a life filled with pride and integrity. So thank you, homie, and thanks to all the coalition members who each bring so much to the table to address this entire effort. I look forward to hearing more about the success as we roll this program out, and thank you for allowing the City of Las Vegas to host your important press conference with this esteemed group of community leaders, each working to close the Black homeownership gap in Southern Nevada. It's been a long time coming, and I know, having lived here since 1964, this is so embarrassingly long overdue. This should have happened decades ago. So thank you, homie, and thank you for this. It's a wonderful opportunity for the people of our family that live in Las Vegas and call this community home. And here's a special guy you're going to hear from soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mayor Goodman. Thank you for being here. Talk is so cheap, but follow through is everything, and we really appreciate you being here. Now, I'm pleased to introduce Councilman Cedric Creer, who represents the historic West Side neighborhood of Las Vegas and is a longtime advocate for our community here.
Thank you. Still haven't gotten the mask thing down yet, but we'll get it. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, homie. I love the name homie. Doesn't that just sound good? Homie. Thank you very much for your proactive leadership in this. As the councilman for Ward 5 and a native Las Vegan, where many black families live, I am particularly pleased and excited to learn more about the coalition to make homes possible. As a longtime resident of Las Vegas, whose family has been here for decades, I can attest to the fact that the black ownership gap is worse today than it was 50 years ago during the time of segregation. You know, we mentioned about redlining. It wasn't too long ago in the early 1900s that if you looked at redlining segregation, if you take an example of the Chicago riots that happened, you know, a young person was swimming in Lake Michigan and they crossed this imaginary line that inside of the lake, a black person, a child, and they were stoned because they crossed this imaginary line. So imagine that they were segregated to an area of town, like we're in many cities, where they didn't have the ability to move throughout their community. And that sparked a riot that happened that was one of the most deadliest and fierce riots that our country has seen. So it's particularly gratifying to see this amazing group of community leaders come together to craft a plan that creates a realistic and attainable path to home ownership. Without a program like this, many of our Valley's black families will not be able to achieve the American dream of owning their own home. And like Mayor Goodman, I know how important home is to stabilizing families and communities, and I was fortunate enough to grow up in a home owned by my parents. And as the mayor said, I was fortunate enough to grow up in her home, actually, as I would go to her home often with friends, and they always had an open door. So for someone like me that has had the ability to have both parents in my home that set an example for me and my brother of how to attain home ownership, you realize everybody doesn't have that same advantage. And this today recognizes that fact that we need to do something. And as the mayor said, this is long overdue. And if you learned anything from 2020 about homes, it was that homes are the center of the universe. They are more than just a place to eat and sleep. They became a place to learn, to work, and to play. They are an important foundational building block of our families and a foundational building block of our communities and our cities. The community that I live in, I grew up in, I live in a house that I grew up in. This Bonanza Village was surrounded in the 1940s, and it is a sense of community that we all have that's there, and that comes from generations. Like myself, whose parents have passed, others' parents have passed, and they've moved into their homes, which are located right in Bonanza Village, and we have a little community there. We know each other, we know who's sick, and we go down and take them food, and we make sure that they are okay, because we have that sense of community, and that comes from home ownership. And so thank you to the great folks like Ken Evans of the Urban Chamber, Kathy Thomas with the City of Las Vegas, and many others. I'm not going to lie, I'm looking forward to hearing what Mr. NELSON AGHOLOR has to say, our Las Vegas Raider, who was also, I just found out, was born in Tampa. So we can give him a congratulations on the Super Bowl win. He said he was at the Super Bowl. How'd you get tickets to the Super Bowl? You must know somebody. But with the Raiders, we're happy to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say about home ownership. Thank you once again for sharing this important message with the community today. I'm looking forward to hearing about future successes of the coalition to make homes possible as you help black families in Southern Nevada buy homes and begin generational wealth. You know, this ties right into our 100 plan that we've had, and we're moving forward with our historic urban neighborhood redevelopment plan. And so we're looking forward to working with you throughout this entire process. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Councilman Creer. Next, we're going to hear from a new voice, an emerging voice in the call for equity in home ownership. Las Vegas professional football player NELSON AGHOLOR, please come join us.
Thank you all so much for having me today. You know, when I got the call to be a part of something like this, you know, it touched my heart right away because it's something that resonates with me and my family. Growing up in Tampa, Florida, my family, we rented homes, apartment to apartment. We lived in one home for about 6 years, and we were evicted from that home. 3-bedroom household, 7 of us living in it. Me and my 3 brothers in one room, 2 beds in there, and my mom and dad in one room, my 2 sisters in the other room, and you know, it was cool, you know, for us to be in an apartment. But what we realized was it wasn't ours. After damages as a kid, you know, maybe putting a couple holes in the apartment walls and playing around with my brothers, you know, the people that owned that unit and the apartment said it's time for us to go. You guys are being evicted. And we didn't realize that our whole life would be changed. Had to move from that apartment to a whole new home, and somehow my family found a way to rent another home. And but the one thing that happened is I had to change schools. And that was kind of traumatizing to me because I grew up in this community, had a lot of friends. You know, I went to a school that was actually an A+ school at the time, and now I'm being relocated to a whole new environment, whole new school system. And I was a little nervous for this school system because it was actually a D school. You know, had gang violence. You know, you couldn't even use your lockers at this school. And all those things was a culture shock to me, you know. And I wish that my family could have stayed in that place, but I didn't realize the reason we couldn't stay there is because we didn't own it. All we were doing was renting for the time being. So when homies brought up this program, I thought to myself, I have to be a part of this. I have to help people realize the importance of being stable, having their kids have stability in their lives. Not everybody's going to become a professional football player, but when the kids have stability in one aspect of their lives, they're allowed to focus to become something greater, you know, and not just fall behind. So I think Homies is doing a good job to giving children stability, and I hope most of the minority families take advantage of this. Not most, but all, actually. That'd be great, because I think it's something that's very, you know, very reasonable for all to do. For everybody that's here, the mayor, the councilman, and everybody that's having me, it means a lot because Las Vegas, they took me in, me being new here, and I have a home here that I rent, and I hope one day I can buy a home here in Las Vegas and have my family here. And this is our home and our community, and we hope to continue to do everything we can to make it better. So thank you guys so much.
That was amazing, Nelson. Thank you so much. We are so grateful to have you here with us. All right, let's go to the next step. All right, so our next speaker brings to this coalition a decade of economic development experience, especially for the urban community. I'm so honored to bring to the stage Mr. Ken Evans, the president of the Urban Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, and thank you very much, Elias, for that. I want to say it's a pleasure to be here today. I want to say thank you to Homie and all the coalition members for making today happen. We need to make sure that we make this 25,000 homes for 25,000 black families a reality. We must close the black home ownership gap, and it's real. It's been real for over 50 years now. even before segregation was a major factor, before the Civil Rights Act was passed, a piece of legislation designed to improve equity and close gaps made us realize that we needed to address the black homeownership gap. Yet 50 years later, even here in Las Vegas, we boast one of the most divided homeownership rates in the country. According to the National Association of Real Estate Brokers in Las Vegas, only 35% of black families own their homes, as opposed to 62% for white homes. As real estate is one of the most fundamental ways to build wealth in America, we must close this home ownership gap. In fact, when we do that, we enable people, much as Mr. Aguilar said, to build equity, provide stability, and for example, if you're an individual like myself that was an entrepreneur, what I was able to do is leverage the equity in my home into equity loan to start a business and grow a business. We must make that a reality for other individuals as well. To rectify this, we have to provide some resources. When we talk about the term equity, what that means is when a group of people starts behind, you can't just do what's equal or give them an equal amount of resources. You have to be willing to do a little bit more, hence the term equity. And that's what we intend to do as coalition partners. We intend to make it a reality over the next 10 years that 25,000 black families will become homeowners. We want to make the American dream a reality for them. We can help them do this through this coalition by providing resources like the training, the counseling, the mentoring, financing options. We can make that a reality. It's imperative that we support this coalition, make homes possible, and we can do this if we make some of the tenets that were pointed out by the Urban Institute as well as the Kerner Commission report, if we work on some of the solutions that are in that report. So finally, what I would say is that we look forward as the Urban Chamber of Commerce of working alongside our own other partners at HOME, Nevada Partners, and many others that, like the City of Las Vegas, that have pledged their willingness to make this effort a possibility. So finally, let me say thank you to HOME. I want to say thank you to Elias and Chris for making this a reality, for inviting us to be a part of this. As Mr. Aguilar again said, homeownership is a pathway to prosperity in America. Let's do our part to make that a reality for these 25,000 families. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken, and thank you to the Urban Chamber of Commerce for your continued support. Next, our next speaker represents Nevada Partners. Nevada Partners is a nonprofit here in Southern Nevada that has been on the forefront of helping minority families and black families buy their home. We're so grateful for their contributions, and I'm excited to bring to the stage Ender Austin III to speak about what they're doing.
Thank you, Elias. I want to couch my compliment to our mayor, to my fraternity brother, our councilman. My dad is a Raiders fan, so I'll give it up for my dad, Ken and Shanta. I want to couch my remarks with a couple of stories. I'm a native of Memphis, Tennessee. When I went to the school that my mom went to for 3rd grade, not only did my mom go, but most of her 9 siblings went there as well. The first day of school, 3rd grade, a lady slapped me in the back of the head and said, "You want a Hannibal, my grandmother, one of Hannibal's children?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Tell your grandma to make me a pecan pie." That was because of the community environment that was in that part of Memphis. They knew everybody, and that was because home ownership was a realized thing. On the other side of that, my biological father lives in the home that my grandfather purchased in 1959. Unfortunately, because they don't have the city of Las Vegas on their side, that home is only worth $10,000, about $10,000 or so now. because of the fact that we have not put in the kind of money that's needed to keep the value of that part of the city up. Look up North Memphis. I want to say this as well. According to a study that was conducted by the Urban Institute, the majority of black families that don't buy their homes face seemingly insurmountable barriers, including uncertain income, low credit, and high debt. The Urban Institute found that 30% of black families don't believe or know that buying a home is possible. The same study discovered that 20% of black millennials actually are mortgage ready, but they don't know what the next step is or even how to get started in the game. That is why the organization that I serve, Nevada Partners, along with other housing counseling agencies in Southern Nevada, are offering free housing coaching to families to help buy their home. Our dedicated housing coaches are connecting with families to resources to build credit, pay down debt, save more money, and access a matrix of resources, including up to $25,000 in down payment assistance. The program is free to join, and we aim to help thousands of black families get on the path to building generational wealth. We also invite residents to attend the Coalition's first event, an online masterclass on building black wealth with home ownership, happening on Saturday, February the 27th at 10 a.m. During this free virtual class, participants will learn the ABCs of home ownership and how to access funds, resources, and a personalized plan to buy a home, including how to access up to $25,000 in down payment assistance. Whether you're ready to buy a home or wondering if it's even possible, you can't miss this. We can help to improve your credit, finances, and accesses to be ready for whenever you're ready to start looking. And I also want to end my comments by saying we all know the history of Nevada Partners and even the history that our councilman laid out as far as Nevada's or Las Vegas's historic West Side. This program is going to allow us to not just leave the hood, but to buy up the hood and make it better. Thank you, Elias, and thank you, homie, and all of our friends here today.
Thank you so much, Ender, and thank you to Nevada Partners, to the housing counselors and the other housing counseling agencies that are making this possible. Next, our speaker is actually a beneficiary of one of these programs, and she's dedicated her life to helping other black families here in Las Vegas buy their home. I'm pleased to introduce to you the Regional Vice President of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers and the branch manager for NID Housing Counseling Agency, SHANTA PATTON.
Thank you so much to all of the diverse community leaders stepping up with me today to bring justice to an issue that has been neglected for far too long. Black families have been kept out of the loop of homeownership for decades. In 2017, I found myself divorced with 3 small children and a past bankruptcy. Homeownership seemed out of reach for me, and I assumed that I would be renting for a while. What I found was that it was harder to own a home, it was harder to rent a home than it was to buy a home, and it was far more expensive. Renting did not provide the stability that my kids desperately needed at that time. I was never able to know how long we would be able to stay there until the homeowner sold their home. Since buying my home, I've gained over $40,000 in equity that continues to grow, and I can pass that on to my children. That would not have been possible as a renter. We're looking to increase black wealth in our community through homeownership by helping 25,000 black families buy their homes in Southern Nevada. As I stand here today, we are declaring a cease and desist to the decline of black homeownership in Southern Nevada. If you are looking to build your family's wealth through homeownership, we are here to help you. Start with the free class on February 27th to learn how to access up to $25,000 in down payment assistance programs and get one-on-one housing coaching. The guidance is completely free, and the counselors are patient and experienced. Secure your spot by registering online today so that you can get on the path of buying your home. Homeownership is possible. Your children will thank you. It's time for us to get to work. We can fix this problem. It's time to get to work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shante. Your dedication and your commitment to this cause really continues to inspire us. Thank you to all of the coalition members here today who have committed to help 25,000 Black families get on the path towards home ownership. And thank you to HOME. Thank you to its leaders and to its agents for your continued commitment to stand against racial injustice and to do more than just talk, but to follow through and create pathways to increase accessibility and equity to home ownership. Together, we will help families just like yours get access to up to $25,000 in down payment assistance, free housing coaches, and resources to help you get your family into a home that you own and that you get to keep. So secure your spot now at makehomespossible.org to get started. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for being here. We'll be around for questions afterwards. Thank you.
You just heard from a variety of community groups and leaders as they announced the creation of the coalition to make homes possible. As always, we will continue to monitor this story, and we will leave you with the website lvrj.com. There we will continue this conversation with a number of resources as they just mentioned there. And of course, you can get the updated version at 7 p.m. from us here at 7 at 7. I'm Renee Summerhour. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day.
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Las Vegas Paiute Tribal Smoke and Cigar Shop.